Hi, it's Rob here from Luminaires. With the latest launch of the FX Track series, I'm here to take you through a step-by-step guide on how to create an FX track layout from component selection to construction and dimming. First, let's take a look at track and mounting accessories. The FX Track series is available in 3 different mounting options: trimless, suspended and surface mounted. The surface mounted version simply fixes directly to a surface, forming a very rigid structure, while the suspended version utilises canopy kits and suspension kits to make it possible to mount at any height, creating the perfect scene in any space. For this version, we'll be creating an L-shaped assembly with the surface mounted track, and will require 2 sections of track and 2 end caps. And now we'll have a look at the mechanical joiners. Mechanical joiners allow the track to change direction to create a huge range of track configurations. By including L joiners, T joiners and cross joiners, it's possible to create a track configuration to suit any layout. The FX L joiners are also available in ceiling wall to provide a continuous track which transitions from a ceiling to a wall. For this demonstration, we are using the ceiling to ceiling L joiner for the surface track. And now we'll move on to the power connectors. Power connectors are universal and fit each type of track. They come in the form of a live power feed, a straight power connector and an L power connector. A live power feed is required to bring 48 volts to the track. A straight power connector is used to create an electrical connection between 2 sections of track, and an L connector is used with any of the L joiners, T joiners or cross joiners to create electrical continuity throughout the configuration. For our L assembly, we will need a live power feed and an L power connector. And now, let's have a look at the drivers. We offer 2 types of drivers, non-dim and DC string. Non-dim, as the description sounds, does not offer any dimming. However, for FX track lights, the dimming is done via the track adapters and can be controlled separately with a 1 to 10 volt dimmer as standard. DC string is our Dali solution for FX 48 volt track lighting and can be used in conjunction with a dedicated Dali system which has the potential to control individual fittings on the network. It is recommended that a driver is selected including 20% of headroom. An easy way to select the wattage is to use this simple formula: the wattage of the fittings multiplied by 1.2. For this demonstration, we have 26 watts of fittings, which means we need a minimum driver wattage of 32 watts, and we will be using the non-dim driver. Alright, now we'll move on to the dimming and smart control. Standard FX fittings are compatible with 1 to 10 volt dimming, however they can be ordered as DC string when a Dali application is required. We also offer Kasambi hardware as a smart control option, which allows the end user to have access to various smart control options without the need for extensive hardware and network systems. For this demonstration, we'll be taking advantage of the standard 1 to 10 volt dimming and only require a single dimming unit to dim the entire track. And now we'll have a look at the track construction. So now that we're ready to wire up our live power feed, I've already taken off the top 3 screws in the top, and what you'll see closest to the cable entry, you'll see your dim plus and dim minus wires, which are dedicated for your 1 to 10 volt dimmer. Further up the live end feed, you'll find your positive and minus terminals for your output for your 48 volt driver. I've gone ahead and rewired one already, and you can see that's ready now to be plugged into the driver and to the 1 to 10 volt dimmer. And to finish that off, you would just put back on your cover and it's ready to go. And now we'll put together the L joiner. Alright, so now we're putting together our L joiner. All of Luminaires' mechanical joiners come supplied with their own straight connectors, so you're able to assemble all of your mechanical joiners without any extra purchasing straight out of the box. Now to do this, we grab our straight joiner, slide it in one piece, with the supplied Allen key, tighten up the first grub screw, bring your other section of track in, ensure there's no big gaps in between the track, and tighten up your second grub screw, creating a nice rigid connection between all of your components of track. And now we'll flip it over and we'll start putting together our electrical components. So now we'll install our live power feed, taking special care to note where the dim plus and dim minus terminals are on the live end, as these will come into effect when you're installing your track heads, as you need to maintain polarity to ensure the 1 to 10 volt dimming acts as expected. So to install the live power feed, if you put your cable entry into the track first, leaving your locking nut out towards the end, and just give it a little push, hearing those couple of clicks, really hearing that the terminals have locked into position where they're supposed to. And you'll see a nice flush finish inside the track and the live end feed. And finally, with a flathead screwdriver, just give that locking nut a quarter of a turn to keep it in place, to save any sideways movement during other installations or during the longevity of the track installation. Very similarly with the L connector, it simply goes in around the corner. Very similar installation, being careful not to damage the cable as you're putting it in. But same thing, if you get those ends in first with the locking nut just sitting just out of the track, one little push and a couple of clicks into the track, that's a very firm fit. And making sure that all of your terminals in contact with the copper poles inside the track, creating electrical continuity between all of your live power feeds and continuous down the way through your track. And then same again, one little quarter turn on your lock nut, just to keep that locked in the track, because they can slide back and forth sometimes, and that keeps them in perfect position while the track's installed. Now that we're up to our Luminaires, we do have quite an extensive range of FX fittings, which you can find out more about at unios.com. For today, we're going with our S60 Spotlight and our Dark Lighter. When installing the Luminaires, special care needs to be taken on the polarity that was set with the live power feed. For this situation, we had our DIM plus cable running down the inside of the fitting. So what we're going to look for is the DIM plus terminal on the track head itself, and make sure that marries up with the DIM plus on our live end feed. Very similarly to the previous installation, you just get one end in and then give it a slight push until you feel those clicks, and it should be a seamless fitting. Same thing for our dark light, DIM plus married to the inside of the track. Feel those clicks and then it's in. One thing I did want to go through is our wall washer, which has a very unique feature that allows it to swivel to wash out the walls in any kind of track configuration, which is simply done by twisting the track head like so. And then that allows you to whichever configuration you have your live power feed, whether it be DIM plus on the outside or DIM plus on the inside, you can make sure your polarity is fine either way you set up your wall washer. All right, so now that we've got all of our components together, our track's built, our lights are in, and now all of our electrical components are ready to be hooked up, we can power on and hook up our dimmer. One key point to note is that the non-dim driver simply acts as a power source, meaning that the dimming is independent of the driver and needs to be hooked up to the live end by itself. So we're just using some simple plugs here for demonstration purposes. This would be quite a bit different out on site for a real installation. So I'll power that on. What we can see is our fittings are on, power's on, and there's our dimming going to work. That's it, a simple FX track configuration with 1 to 10 volt dimming. By selecting the correct track, mechanical joiners, power connectors, luminaires, drivers and control methods, imagination is the only limit to the multitude of configurations possible with the FX Track series. Thanks for watching, and for any further details, please visit unios.com for our latest product guides and instruction manuals. Thank you.